Viewers around the world, thank you so much for joining in to another amazing talk here at Girl Gamer Talks with amazing personalities talking about healthcare and esports. So, starting with our first personality here. She happens to be a medical doctor and a competitive League of Legends esport gamer. She's passionate about gender equality and healthy lifestyle in the gaming world, and she does research on health and esports. So, we have here Janine. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Can't wait to talk about healthcare and esports. Definitely. All right. And now we have another personality. She is into the regenerative detox specialist, and she is an iridologist. And of course, she's into the naturopathy. Or am I saying it right? You're a naturopathic?
Classic, yeah.
Okay, okay, definitely. All right, so she's a student and she is so passionate about the vegan life. Let's hear it for Carolina.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good. How are you? Liking beautiful background happening there?
I'm amazing. Thank
All
you.
awesome, all awesome. Can't wait for the talk. And of course, we have here a psychologist and a PhD candidate, a video game competitive player since 2015 with the ESWC. She is interested in a pro player performance, and she has an amazing thing going on for the gamers and their well-being ever since 2014. Let's hear it for Naima.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to have this really nice conversation with everyone.
Well, it's all about healthcare here, and there's a lot of going on, as we spoke earlier, that it's a very broad topic. So I guess as we're gonna dive into the matter now, the first thing maybe people will think about when it comes to video games is mental health. How video games is associated to your mental health, how is it mentally affecting everybody. So starting with Janine, what do you have to think about the mental health and gamers?
Um, this is like such a contentious topic. There's been lots of studies that have been done about how like playing video games affects like the brain and how certain video games stimulates different parts of the brain. I'm sure like a lot of people can remember a couple of years ago there was like quite a controversial like study that was released that I think the like slogan was like playing violent video games makes you a violent person. Yeah.
Right.
They've since disproved that. I would just like to point that out, like throw that out there. But I think like for me, like on top of or like other than like all of the great things that like gaming gives you, like cognitive like abilities, your spatial awareness, like problem solving skills. I think those are like all the benefits of like, playing video games, not just like competing, but like just, and it doesn't really matter what kind of games you're playing, like you're gaining these things, like you're looking at something 2D, but your brain is seeing it as 3D. So you're gaining all of these skills. But I think from like a mental perspective, especially for speaking or thinking about like competitive esports, I think what's really important to like talk about, or I'd like to really talk about and hear like our panelists like opinions, is that of burnout. I think burnout's really, and even like not competitive players, like even just like grassroots players or like in the community, like I think burnout's really prominent in people who play video games. Like I don't know how everyone feels about it. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Okay, all right. No, burnouts has been definitely a topic to a lot of players, and we've seen some incidents and unfortunate ones, definitely. But okay, so Carolina, what you have to say about this?
I agree with you. I think mental health is a very big issue in gaming, in esports. I've been in a lot of championships and I've watched the teams, the stress, the all these mess that's and all these expectations that all the players have and their goals. And I really think that mental health is something we must look at. And I really do think that we can manage this issue with nutrition. Nutrition plays a big part in mental health because nutrition can really affect how your body is working, how your chemistry inside is functioning properly. So yes, I think definitely we must also talk about nutrition when we talk about this.
Definitely. We're going to dive more into those details with nutrition. Naïma, mental health. What you got to say?
Uh, this is a topic that concerns me since many years. I was lucky to talk about it with a lot of different perspectives, a lot of professional players at the European level, with the staff, as a player also, and I can say that fortunately the situation is improving. But when I was like, I guess six years ago, I think there was nearly no, for example, mental performance coach or psychologist in the professional teams, and I could say that it was a huge issue, just because the players were on their own. And even right now, it's still the same. It's a huge competition, a lot of pressure, and it's different compared to the sports game, where the season are well longer. In League of Legends, a season is lasting 3 months, and that's where you have to give everything. And we have to take in account that they are really young. For me, they're just teenagers that spend many years in video games, and they just want to achieve their dreams, no matter at what cost. And there are a lot in the same position, and they know that if they don't give everything and they have like a couple of bad games, they know they can be replaced in several months. Right now it's better with the contracts and everything because they can't do as much as this, but before you could just be like having a bad 2 weeks and just be replaced just like that, because the contracts were also really bad. And that was really, really awful just to watch this, because they can be broken, like even more of being burnout. They just stop their studies to do this, and then they are just throughout with nothing else, and they have to rebuild their lives. And that's another issue for me. It's right now, again, when the players are in the structures for a long time, they try to give them a long-term career even after being a player. But for a lot of them, if they don't stop young enough, they just don't want to go back in their studies. And even right now, like we can see, there's a lot of rookies who are really, really good, and they're getting into really like good teams, like in European level. And then the staff management, which is for me a huge, huge issue right now. Whereas a really good example of good managing staff, like here I can give some names, like Rogue for me is one of the best example, because they have a huge staff with psychologists, nutritionists, taking care also of the physical health. They have a chef for a really good meal, and like they're really taking care of the players, and they are really thinking in a long term also goal. They kept the players. They want something stable, and that's something that is still the best example, but not common. And that's why some players are just like thrown out if they are in like teams that are lower, and the staff management is not as prepared, because we need to remember that the coaches, as first, when there were no psychologists, had to take care of his health of the players, but they're not professionals. They're from esports industry, and esports industry is still really new. So more and more, there are a lot of professionals from other domains that are coming in and bringing their experience and trying to understand how it works in esports. But it's still really new, and it's still really unprofessional in some way. just for taking care of these persons that are human beings, and sometimes like just considered as I don't know, products that have to perform, and if they don't perform, they are being thrown out. I'm sorry, it's like a bit extreme, but I just feel sometimes that some really young players, if we took care of them way better, they would perform better also. For me, that's my way. Like a lot of structure, I thinking performance, you have to perform, but before you have to be happy and feeling well physically, mentally, to then perform for me at your best.
Oh wow. That
I think the biggest problem with burnout is that you don't realize it's happening until it's happened, and then it's super difficult to get back from burnout. I think like people don't recognize the signs early enough. And if you think about, I like to use the analogy that stress is like an elastic band. You have a certain like level which you can stretch the elastic band to until it snaps. Once it snaps, you can't put the elastic band back together. It's not an elastic band anymore. And that's kind of what stress is like. You know, you can stretch and stretch and still be functional until the point where you just snap. And we like, that's sort of like where you're tipping over the edge and like entering into burnout. And I think like what's really important for like players, coaches, people who help to manage teams, is to be able to recognize burnout. So burnout has 3 pillars. The first is physical manifestations, then it's emotional manifestations, and behavioral manifestations. So the first one, like physical, it's typically exhaustion type of like symptoms. They usually have they feel very drained, even if they've like slept for 7 or 8 hours. They get headaches frequently. They have changes in their appetite or sleep habits. Emotional manifestations is like self emotions, like feeling helpless, feeling like a failure, like you lose a game and you're like, well, I'm such a waste of space. You feel demotivated, you don't want to play anymore, you have a negative outlook, you just don't want to go to team practice, you know, you like always finding problems with everything else, you know, oh, you know, this team and oh, this person and oh, League of Legends, everyone in solo queue, everyone in ranked, you know, like it's just like this negative outlook. And then the behavioral detachment is like withdrawing from responsibility, just not showing up for practice, not like, you know, doing what is like required of you as per like your contract or what has been stipulated by like your team or like your goals in terms of like playing and stuff. You like you want to isolate yourself from the rest of the team. So like as soon as you're done playing your games, you leave the Discord, you don't want to talk to anyone. You know, these are like the types of things that we need to be like aware of, because these are all symptoms that are like symptoms of burnout, you know. And if we are able to like be able to see that something is not quite right, we can stop it and then like do something about it before it gets to the point where the player is just like, yeah, I can't do this anymore, or the team is like, yeah, you're not performing, so you're gonna get kicked out, you know. Because like it's like, you know, playing in a professional team is like having a job. It is a job, you know. Like if I go to my job and I'm like, you know, not treating my patients appropriately, my boss is going to be like, you know, like you're not doing what's like stated in your contract, like I'm going to give you a warning. And the problem is like people with burnout, like you can give them as many warnings as you want, but if you're not like treating the root like issue of like the stress that they're feeling, it's not going to go away, you know. So that's the problem with burnout. It's like such a slippery slope once you're on it. Like to get someone out of that is like super difficult, and it really requires like attentive like people that can understand what they're going through. Like it's not just like, yo, take some time off. It's like much more than that, you know. It's like why are you feeling like this? Where are the feelings of inadequacy coming from? Like where is like, you know, is it we're playing too many games, the hours are too long, you know, team practice are too frequent, you feel like you're not getting like other stimulation in other spheres of your life, you know, emotional, like social interactions, like other than in the team environment. Like these are all things to consider. And like that's why like you can't like you know, I respect, look, I really do respect like these pro players that are like, I grinded like 14 hours a day every day for like 5 years, and that's how I got to where I am. Fantastic for you, but like that is not like sustainable, like in terms of mental health. It's not sustainable, you know. You need to, like, to have a healthy lifestyle, you need to be able to balance like all spheres of your life, you know. So yeah, I think it's really important for people to be able to like identify like when burnout is happening, you know.
Wow, wow. It's kind of scary,
If
you
I
know.
can add something out of it, I think it's even harder for the professional players, like at the highest level, to show some vulnerability, because they know, as I said, that there is always someone that can replace you. So they could think that if they show any stress and in like feeling really down, and they know it won't disappear in days. Like sometimes when they realize it, they need way more time. And if they are new, they need to prove themselves. So
Yeah.
they usually try to hide it because they're afraid also to like just be relegated, be like subbed, or even being out and not
Right.
being able to find a team, because again, like the esport is a really small world, and if they know you are vulnerable, you are stressed, they will just think you're weak and they are not going to take you, because you will be just a synonym of being unstable. And I think that it's something that is we need to change, just to think that people, like players, are human and they are always going to be stressed. They are teenagers again, and this is
Right.
kind of experience that we need to be like really aware. And we know it's always going to be a competition, but we need to be sure that they are um, they are being in a healthy place, where
Right.
they know they can tell, like in the first time it happens to them to feel down, they can share it with someone, and not being afraid to be okay. I'm sharing that I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling vulnerable, and I know people are going to taken care of me of. Sorry.
Right.
And that's why I think, just like rogue example I gave, structures really need to like invest in good staff management, and not only coaches that come from in sports and are just here because they know someone and they're really in the field for so many years, but they are not professionally skilled to take care of this person. Like
Right.
people are doing some like many years of studying to become a doctor, to become psychologist, to like whatever fields. Like you can learn by yourself, but there's some things you need like over experience than esports to
Yeah.
go in and like be a professional.
Right.
Just like thinking, okay, oh, I'm a psychologist, I can be a psychologist, I just need to like listen to people and give them some advice. Like so many person just think that being a psychologist is that, but it's not true. And it's just the same for being a doctor or being a nutritionist. Like you need
Right.
you need like real skills that you are going to build. You need to take lessons. And yeah, I think once we have like these professionals like in every structures that are on the highest level, it's going to improve way more the
You know,
healthiest organization.
as you talk about the nutrition side of things, although the mental side, I mean, can go forever, but maybe that topic of the nutrition aspect is not being talked about a lot. So maybe Carolina can help us a little bit about that when it comes to nutrition. Now, again, when it comes to video games, it's so associated to junk food, you know, pop culture food. We're talking about the burgers, the fries, the sodas, and the power drinks, you know, with the colors and the energy, that kind of stuff. But it's not all good, maybe, if you put it all together. Now, Carolina, what can you tell us about nutrition?
Well, I think nutrition has all to do with esports, health, any job, and even with this question related with mental health. I think a lot of the times we are our enemies. I
Mm,
mean, we we don't take care of ourselves as we should. Even and this is related both to what we were talking about, because I think we put ourselves under a lot of pressure, and we don't want to um, show that we are feeling some feelings. And I really think that it's important for us to think that all of the other players probably are feeling the same, but nobody wants to really talk about it. Everyone is in fear, and this is something that really needs to end. But this, just to
okay,
finishing my point of view regarding the previous topic. But
sure.
regarding nutrition, I think nutrition can definitely help you to manage your emotions, your anxiety, make you feel less stressed if you give your body the proper fuel. Because yeah, in this most of the times the gamers are always wanting the fast food, the processed food, and also in championships we see that there's a lot of junk food, and that's not giving you the proper energy or feeling to your body. What I want to say with this is that sometimes you may feel stressed, or may feel an headache, or feeling sinus uh,
Mm,
pain, even joint pains or muscle pains, and you don't even think that this might be related with what you're eating, and that might not be that related with your posture or with your stress. Of course, stress enters here, but uh, I think it's pretty important when we talk about nutrition to think about and to talk about hydration. And when I'm
mm,
talking about hydration, I'm not speaking about like a bottle of water, drinking 2 liters a day, has the majority of the health practitioners recommends. But
mm,
I'm really talking about the hydration you can get from food, and mainly from living foods. And living foods, for example, fruits or vegetables, and mainly if they are in a raw state. Oh, so this would be amazing, because when you cook your food, you are removing all the water goes away. And if
mm,
you eat your food in a raw state, like fruits and vegetables, or salads, or smoothies, or juice fruit you can get a lot of water from this, and you get all the electrolytes, which are substances that give you electricity, energy to your body, and will make you feel alive. Your body will feel vibrant. You will be very, very hydrated. And this is essential for you to feel amazing, and have it allows you to have an amazing performance. Your brain gets sharper. You have a lot of energy. You feel less fatigue. You will need less time of sleeping, because you're receiving energy from your foods. So
mm,
it's essential for players, in my point of view, that they can get the most hydration from their foods, instead of cooking their foods. Of course, I'm not saying for them to be completely raw, but eat a lot of raw foods, raw ingredients, for you to get to be able to get this nutrition and this water. Just a note, like
all
fruits
right.
is at least 75% water. This is a
Mm,
lot. This is a lot. So, yeah.
all right. Has there been any studies, or maybe some of you have done a little research on how the performance of players changed depending on what they were eating?
I haven't seen studies specifically for gamers in esports, but regarding your performance and your state, your how do you feel during the day and your brain function feels better. Yeah, there's a lot of things written, and this is a topic that is spoken even much more times right now at the moment
Right.
nowadays. And yeah, so
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
the biggest oh sorry.
go ahead. Go.
The
No, actually, I
biggest
was gonna ask you.
the biggest problem is that like there is not a lot of studies with regards to esports. There is a lot of studies with just like standard gaming, but it's more things like your reaction times, how it's
Right.
improved, or like cognitive differences, or things like how is your spatial awareness improved when you play specific games. Unfortunately, like there is not a lot of studies on things like what is the probability of developing things like carpal tunnel syndrome in specifically gamers, not like people that do repetitive strain injury, because there's a lot of studies on that. There's not a lot of studies on how does nutrition affect gaming performance when we say gaming performance as esports gaming performance. They have not done studies on this. And why they have not done studies on this, probably because doing large scale studies like this costs money and you need somebody to fund it. Who are we going to have funding it? Because who are the biggest funders of things in esports? It's the energy drinks and the foods that we don't want people to be eating or drinking, unfortunately. So they're never going to be funding studies that say, oh yes, our drink is not good for you. So the
Right.
problem that like following on like the whole nutrition like vibe, like I definitely agree with the whole thing of like, you know, raw foods. And this is not like, oh my gosh, some like state secret, like, wow, who knew? This is like common knowledge. Like, yes, like processed foods are not good for you. Like, why do we keep eating them? It's because the sponsorship and like what people see, like it's just catering towards like the gamer, like, hey, have this thing that's like quick and easy. In my opinion, it is actually a lot easier to just grab a fruit than to like order McDonald's or whatever, you know what I mean? But like my biggest thing is caffeine. I absolutely abhor caffeine. Like
All right.
I'm like I've gone through 6 years of medical school and like 4 years of working as a doctor, and I do not drink caffeine like at all. I'm allergic to caffeine, but still, like even if I wasn't,
Ooh.
I wouldn't like. I have seen the effects. Like I've seen like my coworkers, I've seen like my friends, like when they like have 4 or 5 or 6 cups of coffee, and they're just like they're vibrating off of the walls. And like the like my biggest thing is, and like I've like looked into this a lot, is you know how the big M, and you know, like I don't want to like bash any names, next thing you know they're like knocking down my door, like, you know, why you hating on us, you know, like
Hey, you better chill. Yeah.
yeah, you know, the energy drinks. Hey,
Yeah.
so like the problem is that a lot of these energy drinks are not regulated. The amount of caffeine that is in these drinks is not regulated amounts. So you can look at the can and it says 120 milligrams of caffeine. You're just like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But there are ingredients inside the drink that also has caffeine in, and they don't count that as caffeine containing like substances. So like for example, guarana is one of them. Like it's a very high in caffeine, but they only say this is the percentage of the drink that has guarana in it, and they don't consider how much of that guarana is actually caffeine, if that makes sense. So like in a lot of these drinks, it says, oh cool, 120 whatever things of like caffeine, but it's actually more than that. So that's why like it's poorly regulated. And the thing is that like the market for these drinks is like people between the ages of 16 and 25. Like in the States, the largest consumption of like energy drinks is between that age group. It's 50%. 50% of all like energy drink sales goes to the ages of people 16 to 25. And that's why there's a law in the States that say you cannot buy energy drinks if you're under the age of, I think it's 18. You're not allowed to buy them because like they know that this stuff is not good for you. Like you shouldn't be giving it to like kids. I mean, why are we allowing adults to drink it? It's not good. And like just to like follow on the whole point of like, you know, the feelings of anxiety and stress. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever experience like the effects of caffeine, it like makes your heart beat faster. That is exactly what happens in anxiety. Your body tricks you into thinking you are anxious. That is like a symptomatic. It's a, a sympathetic response. Sympathetic response. And it like increases your heart rate. It makes you more alert, more aware. And those are exactly the same things that happen when you're having anxiety or when you're like very, very stressed. So like it is very easy to blur those two lines. Like, oh, I've had this like can of drink, but your brain doesn't say it's the can of drink that you've had. No, it's the stress and anxiety you're having for this game that you're about to play or this championship that you're playing, you know, like, do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, you think that it's the stress from the environment that you're in, but actually it's the stuff that you're putting into your body that's launching your body into sort of a stress response, because that's essentially what these things do. Because caffeine is almost like what would happen if you were to go into fight or flight. That is like the exact same sort of like way that your brain interprets how caffeine works, because that's the purpose of caffeine. It's to like kickstart you into like, you know, being functional, right? That's why people are like, oh, don't talk to me before I've had my first cup of coffee for the day. You know what I mean?
In the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I'm really, I really don't like caffeine. The effects on the body are just so terrible, especially if you're having more than the recommended daily allowance of caffeine. They say that like approximately 50 to 80 grams of caffeine is like, that's how much you should be having. And that's how much is in 1 cup of coffee. That's 1 cup of coffee. That is like the maximum what you should be having in a day. The more that you have, you're just like pushing yourself into the negative effects that caffeine has on the body. A lot of people are going to find that this is like very controversial. Like, oh my gosh, don't talk to me about my coffee and my 4 cups of coffee.
What are you doing? Don't change my life. Yeah.
But it really is. It's super important for people to understand that like caffeine has like long-term health effects. It increases your blood pressure. And like, I'm just going to like put this out there and say that like having a raised blood pressure is like something you don't want for your life. You don't want to have high blood pressure. Like, it just increases your chance of getting kidney disease, heart attacks, stroke, like all these things. Like obviously it's multifactorial, and you can't just say, wow, I've gotten this high blood pressure because I drank like 4 cups of coffee in my youth time every single day. No, obviously not. But it's definitely a massive contributor. Like if I have a patient and my patient is like, they have high blood pressure, I tell them they need to stop drinking caffeine because it is so detrimental to their high blood pressure. Like it just makes it so much worse.
Oh my God.
And another issue that's related to this is caffeine is a stimulant, is an external stimulant. And the thing is, you're getting dependent on these substances. The much you drink, the much you need, because you're taking the ability that your body has to manage your energy. And this is shutting down the glands that control your ability to get energized. So you're shutting down these glands, and you're needing even more stimulants to be awake, to be active. And this affects your mood. You're much more sensitive, and this goes along with the previous topic we were talking, because it's much more easier for you to be stressed, to get an anxiety crisis, to don't sleep don't be able to sleep because you're stressed, you're so sensitive. And caffeine and all these stimulants are pretty dehydrating. This is why it's an issue for all the other organs that Janine was talking about, like kidneys, your adrenals, your blood pressure. Everything starts to get acidic in your body, and your body needs to compensate that for you to stay hydrated. So for that, you lose water, so you lose hydration. And then you're always in this, and then you try drinking water, and a lot of times you drink a coffee with a cup of water. Why? Because this is dehydrating. So you feel dehydrated when you drink it. And people just don't think. And most of the people, the first time they try coffee, they don't even like it.
Because I just like smoke.
True, Naïma.
But
mean,
then
I
you
never
just
smoked,
create
but
the habit.
still.
You create that habit, the
Keep it that way.
social habit,
Yeah.
and then you're a drug addict. It's the same thing. The same thing with food. We are
Yeah.
so dependent of these external drugs and these stimulants, either from drinks or from solid food.
Right.
It's like being a drug addict.
And if I can add something, like what's even worse with like this energy drinks is that they contains way too much sugar, which is in addition to the caffeine. Like it's both like getting dependent, because then like sugar is like you get a lot of like fast energy in a small amount of time, and then you feel really tired after this small amount of time, so you want another one and another one and another one,
Right.
and you just don't want
Right.
it to stop. It's like the combination of those two is like the worst, and like both are getting you dehydrated, and yeah, everything is like we don't even talk of all the other ingredients in these energy drinks. Like I think it's we don't need to mention it, but it's really bad. And if I can give just a really like an advice, just to like if you want to feel well more awake, um, first of course physical activities, but even something different would be meditation. Like
Meditation.
there's a lot of studies that are coming like from like the last years. Like we had like the last 5 years at least. There's more and more studies about it, but meditation is so great for sleep, for cognitive activities. Like you are way more focused, you are way better, you feel better, like even you get way less stress, because you can control your own body, how you can react, and you can control this focus. You don't need an external product just to give you a bit focus for a bit of time. Like you can't even control it. Like right now, meditation is something that is good for everyone, and all the studies are for once agreeing on the same side. Like meditation is great, and you can already see like the benefits in a couple of weeks. It's like it depends of course of the person. It's really hard at start, because you need to just calm down and be with yourself and do nothing, just to like focus on your breath and everything. And it's really hard because everyone is so like really fast, really speed in all our lives, and that's when we don't live enough like in the present. And to be
Right.
focused, you need to be fully in the present. And that is the synonym of the flow, for example, that the professional players, for example, and even athletes are experiencing during some games. Like they're so into the situation, they don't take care of anything else outside. Like they're just focused in their actions, and they're so deep. Like it's like being, yeah, like the term is being in the flow. and
Right.
and the meditation is kind of the same. Like you are really with yourself, and the more you are practicing, the better you are. And I mean, you don't need any products to do that. It's free. You can do it for yourself. You just need some calm. And yeah, I don't know what you think, but for me, it's like the best advice I could give.
Yeah, that's an amazing advice. I mean, as everybody been talking, I can just visualize a situation right now for one of the gamers. It is, let's say it's the finals, right? You're stressed, as Naima mentioned earlier, the fear of being replaced, even though there are contracts, but you know, contracts can be broken sometimes. And so you have the stress of being replaced. You're not having good sleep. You didn't meditate, and you're having, let's say, a lot of caffeine and sugar, and you're playing. All of that stressing on the body while playing for like at least 10 hours straight. How crazy is that? You know, and he's a teenager at the age of 18. The amount of stress that you're putting on your body is just over 9,000 at this point, I would say, in gaming terms. It's crazy. And so nutrition is bad and all of that. And you're putting all that stress on the body. And I'm like listening to you right now, and everything you're saying, like you said, it's common sense. It's not like, oh, it's just for the esports. It's not like a secret like Janine just mentioned. It's common sense. Take care of yourself. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's just for the whole life, basically. Just being in control with yourself, with your emotions, with what you are experiencing, and like what you can get out of every experience, basically.
Right. I mean, so as we've been talking the mental aspect, nutrition, but then another topic as well that we might need to get into is the physical aspect of it. We got the hands and the wrists, you got your eyes, you got the gaming posture, you're sitting and all of that, you got the injuries. So starting with Janine, what do you have to say when it comes to physical?
I just want to point out how I love that we're all sitting in like ergonomic chairs. I just like just like a bit of a so for me, again, I have looked into this quite extensively. There is not a lot of research about this.
Wow.
And I don't know why. There's so many gamers, like
hands and wrists. Oh, okay.
Somebody.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Fund her, fund Janine, sponsor her. Fund her, fund Naïma, fund Carolina. We need those research.
Yeah, let's get this research going, guys.
Let's
Come on.
Go.
I always ask,
research,
yeah, like so a lot of people always ask me this, and this is people who don't game, like people who, like, when they ask me, cool, so what do you do with your life? Cool, yeah, great, I'm a doctor. Oh, by the way, I also do competitive gaming. Don't you get carpal tunnel from that? Like, I get that question so often. So you know what, I was like so fed up with this, I actually went and I researched it. There's not a lot of information on this. There is some anecdotal evidence of carpal tunnel in gamers. There is a paper that is currently being written. It is still in its peer review stage, so it should be released like, maybe like sometime this year. But it was someone that is a gamer, but she is also doing like the effects of gaming on carpal tunnel. I must just find the name of this.
Well, what is carpal tunnel, if you don't mind me asking?
So carpal tunnel, so in your wrist here, so you have like a whole bunch of nerves that go to your hand, and
right.
Like, so your carpal tunnel is the area here in your wrist. So there are
right
bones. So there are bones here, and then there's like a sheath that covers it. It's like a fibrous sheath, and then through that like a little area, you have like nerves that travel, and the tendons of your fingers. Okay, so like when I like flex there, you can see those like lines there. Those are the tendons of my fingers. So like you can see I'm relaxed there. It's like tense again. So there's a nerve that runs through there that's called the median nerve. And basically carpal tunnel is when the like structures in that like enclosed space gets inflamed and they swell up, and it pushes on that nerve and it causes pain in the hand, and most typically these three fingers. Okay, so basically you feel numb. It's like pins and needles. Sometimes you can't like use these muscles very well. So a lot of people feel that like, carpal tunnel must be associated with gaming, like, so unfortunately the evidence is not conclusive enough, but there have been some competitive esports gamers. One of the players for Cloud9, League of Legends player, he had to retire from League of Legends because of carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Basically, the whole thing with carpal tunnel is that it's a repetitive strain injury, and there has been so much research done on people who are like people who type all day long on a keyboard. And how that like affects them with carpal tunnel syndrome. And their like research is conclusive. People who type for more than there's like an X number of hours a day, like, are at risk of developing carpal tunnel syndrome. It is a direct link, like it is a risk factor. So like if you are going to like extrapolate that information or that data to gaming, like it's almost safe to say that yes, you are at risk if you're a gamer of getting carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
More likely in the hand that is on the keyboard than the hand that is on the mouse. Okay. But like I said, that research is not very conclusive. So to all those people who want to know if carpal tunnel, if you can get carpal tunnel from gaming, probably yes. Like, but do we have the research? Like, and I'm a very like research orientated person. I'm not just gonna say yes, you can get carpal tunnel if I haven't seen like proper like extensive research that has like taken a whole bunch of gamers and like looked at symptoms of carpal tunnel or early carpal tunnel in these people. Like, this is not even like considering any other hand and like wrist injuries that you can get, like tenosynovitis or decovans. And I'm just throwing out words and people are like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
But at like I can like say I'm currently sitting with decovans at the moment. It's like a pain in the thumb, and like it's because of gaming. Like I've like had this pain now for a couple of days. So like it is important. Like, what the heck else do I do? Like, I don't do anything else with my hands other than gaming and like, I don't know, touching patients and stuff. Like, that's not going to give me any hand and wrist issues. So it must be the gaming, right? So yeah, that's the one thing. And then like, look, obviously there are other issues like physically eye strain and back issues. Like, again, I'm going to say all the studies that have been done are looking at office workers who sit
Right.
at computers and do this all day long. So we can't like indefinitely say that like the flashing lights of games or like the unique color, like color scheme of games affects that. Like, look, if you're looking at a white screen all day long, yes, like, you know, and you don't have a blue light filter, it does affect your brain. It keeps your brain more active. It makes you less likely to fall asleep easily. Like, it causes eye strain. So all these things, but like, is that different in people who play games? You know, games are typically more on the darker side, like darker colors. I'm like thinking of games like, you know, like first person, not first, RPG games, like, you know, things like that. Like, does that affect it? We don't know. There's not enough research.
I feel like stretching my hands right now, just in case. You know, this talk's like, I need to do something right now. Stretch, breathe, yoga stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot going on, definitely. Carolina.
So regarding this topic, I really have my thinking that, well, I think we must look and think and about the how gamers and people are nowadays working. This gaming
Right.
is also a job, as we were talking before, and we're staying seated all day long or all night long. I mean, we're seated during hours without any movement, and this creates an issue that is stagnation. And when we have stagnation, we have accumulation. And when we are eating a bad diet and consuming foods that are not proper for our body, we start to create inflammation inside. And this inflammation creates pain. Why? Because these substances, these ingredients, these foods we are eating, they are creating byproducts of our metabolism that are acidic for our body. And as we eat, we must eliminate. And the issue in the majority of people is that we aren't eliminating. And we aren't eliminating because we are destroying our body, shutting down our body with our bad habits. And what happens here is that we are accumulating these acids. So we feel pain, and we feel pain on those areas that have more stagnation, like our wrists, like our back, like so. The places we are in, we are that are more stagnant and that start accumulating acids, they will give you a symptom sooner or later. This first symptom probably will be pain. And I challenge that person that stopped playing to to experience a raw vegan diet. Try making his kidneys working, trying to start
Okay.
eliminating, and let's see if that person will or not be able to play again, and I'm sure he will. But and I also think, and I suggest to Girl Gamer or other organizations of esports to in the events to have more of these healthy foods, promote this healthy lifestyle. Why not having some yoga sessions, meditation sessions in the events? It would be bringing to this community a different mindset and bring this relevant stuff for our
Right.
health. It will benefit the players a lot.
Definitely. I can see the hashtag right now, vegan player.
Yeah,
Vegan gaming. Start the
definitely.
challenge. Let's go. Let's go. Naima, what do you have to say?
Well, it's true that the fact that we are sitting all day on our chairs, and it's not only about being a player, not like most of workers, like office workers, are doing exactly the same, just like with the screen. So when people are saying, yeah, but you're a gamer, you are sitting all day on your computer, like with your computer, like as an office worker, you just do the same. So I would give exactly the same advice, which is you need to move. You need to stand up and walk really often. Like usually it's recommended to move like if you can at least every 20 half an hour, like 20 minutes, half an hour. And if you want to, like if you can just take a bit of walk like every half hour, and the same for the eyes. Like having some movement is the same for the eyes. Like we talked about the light and everything, but when you are starting to have like dehydration of the eye, feeling really tired, you need to move. Like
Right.
it's an easy exercise you can do. You just try to look on another side, like a really far away side, like if you can out of a window or whatever, something on the opposite side of your office. You can just try, and every like 10 minutes you try to like move your eye out of your screen. So it will help to like keep your eyes moving, and the same for the posture. Like someone gave me the advice, because when I was a professional player, I had at some point some pain in my arm, and it was because I was not moving it enough. And what I had to do is like every time it's the same thing. Like try to get in another position. For example, when you are sitting, try like sometimes to like put the leg on another, then put the both on your both feet on the ground. Like it's the best position for your back, especially. And then about the last advice is like to muscle up. It's really
Muscle up.
important. Yeah, it's really important, because as you are like sitting and like just like playing, like you are not moving and you are weakening your muscles. So at some point there will be you will be too weak, and you will start to feel a lot of pain. If you are in better shape, you should have less pain. And also with the moving and everything, it should be better. And this is an advice for everyone, like even the non-players basically.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, let me give you a random question right now. Let's say I feel generous today, and I'll give each one of you girls 1 million US dollars individually, right? To fund a research when it comes to healthcare and esports. What's going to be your topic? If I'm going to start with Naima, if I'm going to give you right now 1 million US dollars, or maybe I'm going to give you 1,000 Dogecoins, or I can give you like 1,000 Bitcoins, that's a lot of money. So if I can give you that to say this money is for you to stop everything in your life and just do me a research in healthcare and esports, what would that be?
I would for sure work on the well-being of the players. Like be sure they are in a safe environment, and create a staff that takes care of these players just like they are human beings. and be sure they are in good hands also for the future. Like they are not throwing out and bye bye, and we don't care anything. We don't want to hear about you. Like, be sure they're in a safe environment and they are allowed to make mistakes also, because then they will for sure work better and like be more motivated by themselves. So yeah, better environment for the players.
I mean, the things you said earlier about them, the stress about them being replaced, you know, and the stress they have to go to, psychological stresses and all that. That's a lot. It's a lot to take for even an adult, but let alone for a teenager. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, they know that they are going into it, right? And everyone could say, you knew that there is a lot of competition and a lot of people could like replace you, but still, like, it's, for me, it's inhuman sometimes.
Yeah, it's the word again, stressful. It's just a bit too much, definitely. So, okay, I'm gonna give you $1 million once I have it one day, hopefully, to fund your well-being project. Carolina, if I'm gonna give you $1 million to fund a research in healthcare and esports, what would that be?
Definitely, it would be how a raw vegan diet would increase gamers' performance, playing, helping also to prevent injuries, and also also allow you to better managing of your emotions, of your stress, of your anxiety. It would definitely be on this, because this is all about the same thing. This is all about stagnation in your body and the ability that your body has to eliminate those acids that are stagnant inside you, and you are accumulating. All the food we are eating nowadays, the standard diet, uh, shuts down your organs, and this makes you unable to eliminate acids. And the more you are accumulating those acids, the worse you will function, and this will impact gaming for sure, your health. And this is for everyone, not only for gamers, but for everyone. So it would definitely be it.
Okay. So do you take cash or bitcoins? Because we need to fund your research.
Oh,
That's
both. Both. I'm okay.
Both. Okay.
Or
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not sure what's the price of it right now. Let's check it out. Okay. Janine, I'm gonna give you money, 1 million. What research you want to fund?
I literally have a Word document of like everything that I've come across. And
You're
every
ready,
time there's something that that there is not enough research or there's no research, I like write it down as like things I'm gonna research one day in the future when I'm part of a research lab or a research team.
Okay.
But like I think if I had to choose two, because like I have so many, really I do.
Two. Sure.
The first one I'd go on is females, like how females see themselves depicted in games. And what that means for them, because like I don't know if you guys have the same opinion, but I feel like a lot of women in games are depicted like very voluptuously, very like poorly clad clothing, like, you know, but men are like, the men are like, you know, big and manly, yeah, you know, like obviously there are exceptions to all of this, but it's like I'm really interested to see like how do women feel about that. Like I feel very strongly about it, so it's like I'm like I always want to cosplay something, and then it's like
cosplay
90% of the time it's like I have to either cosplay myself half naked or like you know. So like seriously, they're like the female characters and the way they're depicted in games, like I want to know how that like what women feel about that image, like, you know. Like, are they empowered by it? Are they like, you know, not empowered by it? Do they feel like it's like puts them in like more vulnerability? It makes people not take them seriously, like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I'm really interested to see what like how women feel about it.
Okay.
That's the first one, and then the second one is I really, really want to do like a sleep wake study for
Sleep.
people who a sleep wake study. So
Okay.
like where you're in a sleep lab and you like
Right.
play like X number of games, and then they put you to sleep, and then they put the probes on your brain to see like which parts of your brain are still like active
Huh.
after you've played and stuff, after like playing certain games, like maybe more relaxing puzzle type games that have that like
Okay.
really nice ambient background music, or like violent like Counter-Strike, like pew pew pew, you know, like that kind of thing. I'm really interested to see how that affects like sleep and stuff. So yeah, I know we didn't speak about sleep, but like I'm really interested to see how like that affects, because like if I had to like take my own experience, like I can definitely say that it really like it's super detrimental to your like your sleep cycles. When I was in like the height of my professional career, I was getting like 4 hours of sleep a night.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was like simply just because like when I got into bed, it's like my brain just wouldn't switch off. Like
I can only imagine. I'm not a professional gamer, but I still remember me and my son were playing Fortnite for 4 hours before we slept. And when I slept, I dreamt of a pink water park. I don't know why.
you dream of like the things that you played. Yeah.
Like it's water park, cool, but it's all in pink. Why there's a donkey, a zebra that's purple? What? Well, no more leftover pizza for me.
Yeah. So that's probably
Definitely.
what I would choose. I mean, I have so many that I would like. I'm so interested in seeing like the differences between males and female gamers, like, you know,
Okay.
like things like that, like reaction times, or, you know, like performances. Yeah. Like things like carpal tunnel and stuff. It's really difficult to like do research on stuff like that, because there are lots of other things that can contribute to like you getting, like you'd have to have people that only do gaming, like that's all they do. Like,
Right.
you know, you can't have anyone else that like does anything else, because it skews the data, unfortunately. So yeah.
Okay.
It would be nice to do it if I could have a lab and have people just playing games all day long. Like that would be great. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
the
you can come
management.
to my lab. That's what we're doing.
Oh,
You
that's so
never
cool.
know. You never know. Right now, maybe right now, I'm just saying, maybe the management of Girl Gamer Esport Festival right now, they're listening to this, and maybe they're gonna one day open up a Girl Gamer Esport lab, you know, funded by people around the world, and they're gonna fund all your research and pretty much gonna have papers and documents about this. You never know. Maybe we're gonna have a future esport healthcare conference. You know, all that
That would be
because of this
that
talk.
would be the dream. Would be the dream, wouldn't it? Oh.
Believe me, after what I heard today, we have enough topics to cover a conference for 3 days. Definitely. Definitely. Oh, but only the three of you. Enough. It's like you're more than enough for 3 days conference. Amazing. Amazing. Girls, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much for this information. I mean, you're like warriors to us right now. You're doing all this reading, you're studying, and you're sharing the knowledge. And you're, as of now, maybe I can tell you're saving lives. You know, saving gamers' lives, you know, teenagers who are pretty much lost and stressed. Naima, you talked a lot about the mental health and all that, and it was not surprising, but still shocking, you know, how girls and boys in certain ages, they have to go through all of that, and it's just too stressful. And Carolina, you know, we're talking about nutrition and how the effects of it and the acids and the inflammations and all that, that's scary, you know. And if we're doing it every day, we're eating all that juicy burgers, you know, and sodas, and we take all that energy drinks while we're playing our CS:GO and League of Legends because we just want to do a better performance, not you know, realizing that in the long term we're just, it's like a slow death to our brains and to, what's that word again, Janine? That thing?
Carpal tunnel.
I need to
Carpal
work on
tunnel
that.
syndrome.
Definitely. And Janine, and your talk about all the aspects of your body in every way, whether it's physical, mental, and nutritional. It's just, these are topics a lot of people don't understand that, you know, because when it comes to gaming, they don't see there's a health aspect to it. You know, it's a sport, even though when it comes to esports, people still see it as gaming more than sports and lifestyle. So these kind of talks are very important to open new gates and opportunities for people to study more into the healthcare, I would say maybe a future healthcare industry for esports, and to see how can we help gamers have better lifestyles. So before we end this conversation, this talk, if each one of you would give me one advice, what would it be? Like, let's see, right now you're sitting and you're talking to a group of future esport players, and it's about their health and well-being. That one advice, want to make sure that they will follow. What would that be? Starting with you, Naima.
Oh, but that's pretty hard. It
I know,
depends
I
on
know.
which topic. I mean, if it's about mental health, I would say meditation, because
Meditation.
it impacts like so much, like uh of the body, the mental health. So yeah, I would say meditation.
Meditation. I wrote that down definitely. Carolina, if that if there's like a certain snack they should eat on, like they would hear raw, vegan, that kind of stuff. But if you would have a basket of healthy snacks, what would that basket have?
Healthy snacks. I would give you fruit, definitely. It would be
Okay.
considered that for me is the best healthiest snack. And the advice I would give, it would be definitely to watch out to what you're putting inside of you, to what you're eating. Eat your fruit, raw fruit. Eat your raw vegetables. Eat your salads, juices. Eat, uh, hydrate you, and be disciplined, because this is the best way for you to show yourself self-respect and self-love. Be disciplined. Okay.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. We'll do that. Doctor, what you got to say? Advice.
I always like to ask people who game and like want to take it professionally the question, like, you know how they say you're an esports athlete? So why don't we treat ourselves like how other athletes treat ourselves?
Right.
Like, like they eat healthy, they exercise, they take care of their sleep, because that all affects their performance. And it's the same thing for, like, yeah, sure, you're sitting in front of a computer and maybe you're not as like physically active, but your brain definitely needs all those things to be physically active. So like what I would tell people is, why do you sell yourself short? Like, we're also athletes and we should treat ourselves like that. We should like treat ourselves like how we would if we were like a long distance runner or someone that does like long jump or whatever. It's the
Right.
same thing. Like, it's like there is mental like, yes, there's physical fortitude and there's mental fortitude, like in all sports, same as in
Definitely.
esports. And
Same like
like,
any other sport.
people are always like, oh, they're so different. You're sitting at a computer. They're not, they're not. Like, it's also physical health, like your
Right.
back, your neck, your arms, your eyes. Those are all physical aspects of your body.
Your
You should take
brains.
care of those things. Then like the mental aspect, your brain, nutrition, how you eat, how you sleep, those things. So that's always what I say. You want to be an athlete, treat yourself like an athlete.
Treat yourself like an athlete. Beautiful. Beautiful. Discipline and good nutrition, meditation, and treat yourself like an athlete. This has been an amazing talk. I mean, an eye opener in so many aspects and ways. And I can't thank you enough. I just want to say thank you so much for the amazing information, for the talk. We really appreciate your time. And to all the viewers around the world, I hope you enjoyed as much as we did, because this has been an eye opener in so many ways. Thank you so much. And we'll be seeing you in another talk here with Girl Gamer. Bye bye and God bless.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.